St. Catharines Regional Councillor Matt Siscoe can be seen every year donning a superhero costume and running for the Niagara Children's Centre. And of course, we've seen him driving those plasma cars way too enthusiastically for fundraisers for the centre. Matt, this organization is near and dear to your heart as well as the hearts of your wife Chrissy and your 4 children.
That's 100% true. We've had a couple of our kids go through the centre, various levels of need. My second oldest son, Kanan, when he came to us, he was very limited vocabulary, one word. He had no core strength, so we got involved for the first time with him up at the center. And I always like to say it's night and day between where he started, where he is now as a 12-year-old. He's fluent in 2 languages. He won't stop talking. He plays hockey. He plays football. He runs triathlons. And then my third son, Darius, my youngest son, Darius, who came to us, and we knew he had autism when he entered our family. But the Children's Center was the one-stop shop where we were able to get direction on what services we needed to access, what programs there existed. So, right after that process with Darius, the board chair at the time happened to sit next to me at Ice Dogs games, and Don Fretz said, "Listen, would you be interested in joining the board?" And having seen the work at that point that the center did, I knew this was a place I wanted to give my time, because it's sort of a hidden gem in Niagara, and I don't think people realize just how important the center is to improving the outcomes of all of our kids.
I know you're a football fan, so you'll get this comparison. I remember the old commercials, Victor Kayam, who loved the Razors so much that he bought the company, right? And you loved the center so much, you became the chair of the board.
I don't know if I ever set out with that intention, but being a part of the center, we have an exceptional executive director in Oksana Fisher. We've got a great senior management team, which is who the board interacts with, but then getting involved with the center, as a parent, but also as a director and going to the volunteer events. Our staff at the center are the ones who are coming out and volunteering their own personal time to help raise funds, because the simple reality is that the budget dollars that come down from the province, they go a long way to doing the basics, but to be able to offer the services that we offer to all of the kids in our community, it takes additional fundraising dollars. So getting out to those events, I've emceed the superhero run, the plasma car event that's coming up at the end of this month. Getting out and seeing our staff committed, I knew that I had to be committed as well. And over the course of 7 years, it's one of those situations where if you stick around long enough, someone's going to tag you to do the big job. And so I'm excited to be in that role now and be a part of what we're planning to try and make outcomes better for the kids in the community.
As you know, I used to be a cooperative education teacher, and I would place students in the Children's Center quite often to help out with the teachers. And when I went to visit there, I couldn't help but leave that place with a full heart, a big smile, and I would be happy the rest of the day just seeing what went on there and how well these teachers worked with these students.
It's true. We've got our therapists, we've got all of the administrative support, we've got the teachers at the Children's Center school, like so many people inside that building. And it's a bit of an innocuous building. You drive down Glendale and you don't necessarily realize it's there, but for 5,500, I want to say, families last year, for those families, that center makes such a huge difference. Teaching kids how to communicate, even in situations where maybe they're going to be nonverbal their whole lives, then putting them together with the technology they need to be able to communicate with the teachers, with their friends, with their families. We hear those heartwarming stories, and every board meeting starts with a half-an-hour education session. And we'll hear from therapists at the center who, will talk about cases where they've been able to make gains with the kids. In a lot of cases, those children, their families will be on the call, or back when we were allowed to come to the meetings and sort of present the cases themselves, and we get to see that. And then when there are issues, we get to see those issues as well. When outcomes don't get to where we want them to on the timeline we want them to, we hear about that as well. But it's a reminder for all of the board members why we're there and what the reason is for having the center. And like I said, ultimately we want the best outcomes for the kids, because the kids in Niagara become the adults in Niagara. And if you can improve their quality of life, you're improving the quality of the community's life, and that's really what it comes down to.
Can we talk a little bit about Darius in particular, because I know you struggle with Darius's future after the Children's Center.
Yeah, it's true. And, this is just the reality with autism specifically, which is what Darius has. But I'm heartened. I look around society now, and at least within the community, I see so many people doing so many amazing things. I know the Children's Center works in partnership on a variety of different programs with, Bethesda and Autism Ontario. So the Children's Center's out there linking with different partners to improve the programs and the services we offer. There's a recognition, for a lot of these kids, they will age out of the system. But I think our community in particular, but Ontario in general, is starting to recognize we need to have better services and supports for lifelong learning for kids who will become adults, and programs that are going to serve their needs throughout their life. So I look around and, I hear the conversations that are going on, and I'm lucky as the chair of the Children's Center board. I'm able to have those conversations with service providers at other levels. I see that there's a recognition, and those dollars are starting to flow. And when we talk to politicians, I will say I have to give a shout out to all of our MPPs in Niagara and former MPPs. Jim Bradley is one of the biggest supporters of the Niagara Children's Center that exists. But all of our provincial politicians, whether they're in opposition or they're in government, they recognize the value of the center, and they recognize that this is a building need, and that capacity needs to be built into the system in other areas as well. But budget dollars are thin. We know there's a provincial election right now. They're going to talk about budget dollars a lot, and that's why this month of Help Kids Shine at the Children's Center is so hugely important for us, because those dollars go directly into the programs and the services for the kids that come through the center.
How can people contribute and get involved in that campaign?
So the big thing, helpkidssshine.ca. I would ask anybody who's interested, go to helpkidssshine.ca. That's our main fundraising page. And I'm going to give a special shout out to O'Hara Excavation and Trucking, because they're matching monthly donors. So anybody who signs up for the monthly donation program, it'll be matched by O'Hara up to $25,000, an absolutely fantastic contribution from Dan and Sharon O'Hara, who have personal family experience with the Children's Center. And that's the thing we find. People who've had to use our services are the ones who want to donate the most often. But I would really push that monthly giving program. And I know in my family, that's how we give. And it can be such a small difference in your monthly budget, just a small donation, but it adds up over time. And like I said, those programs directly help the quality of life of kids in our community. And that's I can't think of a better way to make your heart full than to know that you're helping make those lives better.